Good morning, students. Today discuss about light. In this topic, discuss first one properties of light, second one basic definitions of light. Okay, what are the terms related to light? Okay, first one properties of light. Light is a form of energy. It makes things visible. Light travels in straight line path. That property is known as the rectilinear propagation of light. Light travels through air or vacuum in 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meter per second. It denoted by c. The velocity of light c is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second in air or vacuum. Okay, but today what are the basic terms of light? Basic terms of light. First one, already you know that luminous, non-luminous, what is medium, these are all. Okay, first, but basic definitions for the luminous objects. Luminous object, which materials or which bodies gives light themselves its own light gives out. That objects are known as the luminous objects. What are the examples of luminous? Sun, second one stars, next bulb, either electric bulb or kerosene lamps. These are all the luminous objects. Second one, non-luminous objects. Non-luminous means which bodies doesn't light gives out by themselves, by its own. That is called non-luminous objects. Non-luminous examples, that is the book, furniture. Book, furniture, next human bodies. These are all the non-luminous objects. Second one, next medium. What is medium? Medium is it is nothing but matter, either solid or liquid or gas. Okay. These are next optical medium. Optical medium means the light travels through them either partially or whole. Total light or some of the light passes through them. That substances are known as optical medium. Generally, the mediums are optical mediums are three types. First one is the transparent medium, translucent medium, opaque medium. What is the transparent medium? Transparent medium means which materials light passes through them whole or complete light passes through them. That substances are known as transparent medium. What are the examples of transparent medium? That is the air. Next, glass, vacuum, diamond. These are all the transparent medium. Next, translucent medium. Which materials some of the light, that means it simply partially passes through them. That is the translucent medium. Examples, muddy water, oil papers. These are the translucent medium. Okay, some of the lights, that means oil papers, next muddy water, some of the thick water layers, In case of salty water, these are all of the translucent. Next one, opaque medium. Opaque, which materials does not allow the light, doesn't pass through them. That is the opaque medium. What are the examples of opaque medium? That is the first one, walls, book, furniture, human body. These are the examples of opaque medium. First one is the bricks, next walls, book. These are the opaque medium, human body also. Okay, these are the basic terms of the light. Okay, next one, what is the ray of light? Ray of light, that means light passes actual path in a straight line is called ray of light. Okay, next one, what is the beam of light? The ray of light means the light travels in straight line path only for, that is the ray of light, actual path. Beam of light, a bunch of rays are known as beam of light. A bunch of light rays are known as beam of light. Okay. Next one, what is the convergent beam? Second one is the divergent beam. What is convergent? Second one is the divergent beam. Listen. Convergent, that means all the light rays converges. These are the number of rays, a bunch of rays. These all the light rays converges at a point. These rays are meet at a point. These rays are known as, that is the convergent beam. This is the convergent beam. Next, what is the divergent beam? Divergent means this is the object. These rays are coming from the object. These rays are coming from the object. These rays are not meet at a point. That is the divergent beam. Okay, that is. Okay. Now, property of light. First property of light is the reflection. Reflection. What is reflection? What are the changes in the reflection? First one, what is reflection? When the light rays incident on the opaque substance or reflecting surface. Reflecting surface. That means when the light rays incident on the reflecting surface, some of the light re back into the same medium. That is known as reflection. Intensity of light changes in the reflection only. It doesn't change in velocity, doesn't change in wavelength, doesn't change in frequency, only change in intensity of light. Listen, this is the one of the mirror. This is the one of the mirror. Mirror having two surfaces. This is the highly polished or polished surface. This is also known as reflecting surface. Reflecting surface. Second one is the polished or silvered surface. This is the silvered surface. Okay. The mirror having two surfaces, reflecting surface and polished surface or silvered surface. When the light rays incident on the mirror, some of the light will back into the same medium. Okay, that is the reflection. Now this is the light ray incident on the reflecting surface. A ray of light incident on the reflecting surface, they re back into the same medium. This is the they re back, some of the light re back into the same medium. Okay, this property is known as reflection. But this is the incident ray. How to define the incident ray? Incident ray means which ray strikes at the reflecting surface is known as incident ray. Which ray coming from the reflecting surface is known as reflected ray. This is the reflected ray. Okay, listen. This is the normal. This is the normal. How to define the normal? An imaginary line drawn perpendicular to the surface. An imaginary line drawn perpendicular to the surface is known as normal. Normal means the angle between normal and reflecting surface is exactly 90 degrees. That is the perpendicular to the surface. But this is the angle of incidence. How to define the angle of incidence? The angle made by the normal with the incident ray is known as angle of incidence. The angle between normal and reflected ray is known as angle of reflection. This is the glancing angle of incidence. This is the glancing angle of incidence. The angle made by the reflecting surface with the reflected ray. With the incident ray. The angle made by the reflecting surface and the incident ray is known as glancing angle of incidence. The angle between reflected ray and the reflecting surface is known as glancing angle of reflection. Glancing angle of reflection. This is the I is angle of incidence. Angle R, angle of reflection. IZ, glancing angle of incidence. RG, glancing angle of reflection. Next one, in case of the light ray travels in straight line path, in the absence of mirror, the light ray travels in straight line path. But this is the straight line path. The light ray travels straight line path, but the angle of the mirror is there. This reflected in this side. Okay, the angle between reflected ray and original path of incident ray is known as angle of deviation. That means simply, how to define the angle of deviation? The angle made by the reflected ray and original path of incident ray is known as, this is in this direction. That means this is the light ray direction, original path, but it travels in this direction. This is the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, this is the original path. When the absence of mirror, the angle made by the reflected ray and the original path of incident ray is known as angle of deviation. It is denoted by delta. Okay, that is okay. Now discuss about laws of reflection. What are the laws of reflection? The angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. First rule, the angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Second one, incident ray, normal, reflected ray and the point of incidence, these are all lie in the same plane. That means this is the border. This is the one of the plane. This is the long x. This is the y coordinate only. Okay. This is the only one of the plane. The incident ray, reflected ray, normal, and the point of incidence lie in the same plane. Lie in the same plane. These are the two rules. That means these are the laws of reflection. Angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Incident ray, reflected ray, normal and point of incidence lie in the same plane. Okay. These are the reflection. Okay. Now, what about the angle of deviation? How to calculate the angle of deviation? Listen. From the diagram, from the figure, I plus Iz is equal to 90 degrees. These two are complementary angles. Angle of incidence and the glancing angle of incidence is the complementary angles. I plus Iz is equal to 90 and R plus Rg also 90 degrees. That is, now this is the angle of deviation. This is the angle of deviation. How to done the angle of deviation? That is, the angle of deviation delta is equal to, this is the sum of the angles. Angle of deviation is equal to how much? This is the delta plus R plus I is equal to 180 degrees. This is the linear pair. Okay, no? That is delta plus I plus R is equal to 180 degrees. But angle I is equal to angle R, then delta plus I is equal to 180 degrees. I plus I, why transfer this? Delta is equal to 180 minus 2I. This is the angle of deviation. Okay. This is the angle of deviation. This is the equation 1. From the I plus Ig is equal to 90 degrees, then I is equal to 90 minus Ig. This can be substitute value in equation 1. Delta is equal to 180 minus 2 into, in terms of I 90 minus Ig. That is the 180 minus 180 minus into minus plus 2Ig. That is the delta is equal to 2Ig. This is also another formula for the angle of deviation. This is the angle of deviation. This is the original part. They reflect in this side. This is the angle of deviation. In terms of I, 180 minus 2, in terms of Ig, 2Ig. Okay. This is the angle of deviation for the plane mirror. For the plane mirror. Okay. Now, problems on deviation. This is the one of the mirror. This is the one of the mirror. This is the incident ray. This is the normal. The angle of incidence is 30 degrees. This is the incident ray, this is the normal. The angle of incidence is 30 degrees. From the loss of reflection, angle of reflection also 30 degrees. Okay. Here I is equal to 30. That R is equal to 30 degrees. What about the IZ? IZ is equal to 90 minus I. This value is 90 minus I. This is simply IZ. 90 minus I, 30 degrees, that is equal to 60 degrees. RZ also same, 60 degrees. What about the angle of deviation? That delta is equal to 180 minus 2 into I. This is 180 minus 2 into I. I value 30 degrees. That's simply 120 degrees. But which direction? This is the light rays incident. This is the light rays original path. That means the light ray travels in straight line path when the absence of mirror. The angle between reflected ray and original path of incident ray is known as. This angle of deviation is 120 degrees. This is the which direction? Anti-clockwise direction. Anti-clockwise direction. In case of in clockwise, this is the 240 degrees in clockwise. 240 degrees in clockwise, 120 degrees in anti-clockwise. This is the one of the formula. Sorry, this is one of the question. Here angle of incidence 30 degrees. What is the angle of reflection? What is the glancing angle of incidence? Glancing angle of reflection and angle of deviation. That is the question. This is I 30 degrees. From the loss of reflection, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Then R also 30 degrees. Iz is equal to 90 minus or complementary of I and Iz are the complementary angles. This value 30, this value also 60 degrees. Next, that RG also 60 degrees. Delta is equal to 180 minus 2I. This 180 minus 2 into I value 30 degrees. Simply 120 degrees in anti-clockwise direction. Okay. Next, again one question. This value is 270 degrees in anti-clockwise direction. This is the deviation angle. Here what is the I? Next, R is equal to how much? Iz is equal to Rg is equal to how much? This is the question. Delta is equal to what is the formula? 180 minus 2I. This is the 270 degrees in anti-clockwise direction. The clockwise direction is near 360 minus. This is the 360 minus 270 is equal to early 0, 16 minus 9. So 190 degrees in clockwise direction. This value is 190. This value is 90 degrees. 90 degrees minus 2I. This 2I is equal to 180 minus 90. That simply this value 90 degrees 2I. Here I is equal to 45 degrees. Here what about the angle of incidence? Angle of incidence 40 degrees, 45 degrees. Angle of reflection also 45 degrees. This is the RG and IZRG also 45 degrees. This simply this value is 90 degrees in clockwise direction. 180 minus 2i formation. This value transfer this side. This is simply 2i degrees. 2i is equal to 90 degrees. I is equal to 45 degrees. This is the 180 minus 2i is clockwise direction only, not in anti-clockwise. 180 minus 2i is clockwise direction, not in anti-clockwise. This simply this value I is equal to 45 degrees. Okay, this is the one of the question. In case of, listen, another question. This is the one of the mirror. The light ray travels along the normal. The light ray travels along the normal. In this case, what is the angle of incidence, angle of reflection? Angle of incidence is equal to how much? Angle of reflection is next angle of deviation is equal to how much? That is the question. This is the light ray along the normal. This is the light ray incident on the surface or perpendicular to the surface. That the ray reflected back along the same path. Here angle of incidence is equal to 0. Angle of reflection also 0. This is the light ray travels one direction 90 and again 90 degrees. These two are in anti-parallel. That means angle of deviation also 180 degrees. This is the one of the best question. First one, a light ray passes through the normal. In this case, what is the angle of incidence? What is the angle of reflection? What is the angle of deviation? That is the question. In this case, light ray passes through the normal. Here I is equal to 0. R also 0. From the laws of reflection, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Angle of deviation is equal to 180 degrees.